Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Okay, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2, joining me today is...
A geek for fun.
Indeed. And today we are discussing Christmas decorations. Or I guess we can broaden this out a little bit, because I'm sure both of us here have so much experience with like Hanukkah and Kwanzaa decorations. But we'll just broaden it out a little bit. Say holiday decorations. We can broaden it just a little bit. And yeah, I don't know. This is one of those things where like I've never really been super into Christmas. You can definitely tell if you go back and watch other episodes of Holiday Month. It's not my favorite holiday. But this year I do find myself getting more into it, and kind of my vessel for that is, I'm not super into Christmas, but I really like Christmas decoration. I find I always like end up getting really crafty and having a lot of fun in that whole variety of things. So I thought it'd be interesting at least to kind of talk about holiday and Christmas decoration.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an integral part to, like, no matter which part of the holidays you do celebrate, or even if you don't, you can't exactly miss it. So I feel like maybe discussing why it's a thing, how you feel about it, maybe things you could change, or just like the very unique and interesting, weird genesis of why some of these things happen is definitely worth a conversation. Even though, unlike this heathen, I mean, I, for one, spent like 5 years as a decorator for, like the wealthy and rich, and I just got tired of the bourgeoisie. So I decided, I'm just going to go back and humble be a YouTuber. But in those experiences, I've got quite a bit of I've rubbed up against a Christmas tree or two, let me put it that way.
I don't know how seriously to take that. Were you like seriously a decorator at some point?
No.
Okay. I don't know your fucking life. Maybe you had like a job where it was your job to go decorate for people. I don't fucking know your life.
This goober.
I don't know.
Completely not the holiday of Christmas right now. Believe in lies from some liar. But yeah. Even if I was, I guess I'll just shoot the shot then. Say I was your decorator. Say you invited me to your home. Bad mistake, by the way, but say that happened. What is the first order of business in the Harrington household when it comes to decoration? Is it immediately the tree, or do you go for anything else? What's your like standout?
It's just one of those things, like things have just kind of come up over the years. Haley and I have been living together since 2014. And when I lived with my mom, I just had absolutely, no interest in it. And that's because I realize in retrospect, my mom's kind of basic. She likes the tree and she likes maybe a little bit of tinsel and stuff, but she doesn't like to really go for it. She'll put up like stockings, but they're pretty basic looking stockings. It's kind of bleh. So I never really got into it in there. But then when you get the chance to put your own spin on it, just little things get added and created. So like our very first Christmas together, we just used this old tree that I had from my dad's. It's just a very small thing, just meant to be on like a table. And then the next year we got a tree from her brother that he was no longer using, an artificial tree, so we put that up. And then the next year is like, oh, let's go all out on stockings, because I got jealous of her cool Wonder Woman stocking, And then the next year we moved into our house, and so we got a new tree to put up because it needed to be bigger. We got just things started happening, coming together. We made our own stocking holders. I posted a video of that like last year. I could probably put it up in an episode if I remember. No promises. But like it's just it just kind of comes little piece by piece kind of thing. Like this is the first year I'm doing outdoor decorations for Christmas. How about you? What do you like go for or how hard do you go on Christmas decorations, especially being like you're like going back and forth to school and stuff?
Well, over here in Lincoln, where I study, not so much. There's obviously being a communal household, and me being a hermit for fun. I let that handle with the other stuff, and obviously you can't put anything outside. We have a tree at the moment, but it's one of those things, right? Especially this time of year where it's preparing to leave. There's viewings for houses and stuff for like when they're going to sell the property next time. So you can't really go too much, I imagine. But it's pretty basic. But over at the Hegarty household, which is my mum's surname, we have the full-on Christmas style. My mum is a Christmas aficionado. Her blood is like 50% eggnog and 50% cheer. So 100% she goes full on. The door's bright red. There's like mistletoe on the front door with like an old-fashioned Victorian knocker. She's got tinsel over the house. Not much lights. She likes to go more old-fashioned. She often will criticize other people's houses for being tacky. She does not mince words, and that was very, very much like my opinions on Sonic the Hedgehog games as how my mother is with Christmas decorations. But yeah, we get like a big tree, as big as we can fit in a small house, so it's kind of unwieldy to take out every year. But yeah, it's kind of a sight to behold, and that's always made me. I think it was the most jarring when I did move away for my first Christmas, like away from home for that, because it did feel kind of weird not being around that atmosphere, which I think is unique to Christmas. Right, if like depending on where you grow up, because it is a very child-focused holiday. There's a lot of like childhood wonder and a lot of focus on the kids' experience of Christmas. Depending on each individual person, I think when they grow up, it changes how they view the surroundings they're in, if that makes any sense.
No, I really agree with that. Like, yeah, for me, I feel like I definitely had that experience. I remember being a kid and like being really into and just wowed by the decorations and stuff, and then you get a bit older and you realize it's not cool to be super into Christmas, and so you get jaded on it. I definitely had that. But I don't know, I think there really is something to just having that opportunity to put your spin on how you're going to celebrate the thing. Because I remember when I was a kid, I was like, oh, okay, let's leave the tree on all night Christmas Eve. And that's something I had just so much trouble convincing my mother of. She's like, oh, I don't want it on all night. The bill. I'm like, it's one night. Just let it go. You got the lights on all night. Why not this? But, it's just one of those things. There is something to it. I agree with your mom. I don't like... There's a really fine line, I feel, with Christmas decoration, and I think this might be a good way to transition into it, is, like, particularly with outdoor decoration, if you go too far, it can really become just gaudy, but at the same time, that's kind of the charm of Christmas, is it's okay to be over the top and kind of gaudy, you know?
There is a very distinct line between classy and then you get, oh, that's fun, and then you get, Jesus, my eyes.
Right?
There's like a point where it becomes like more cheap electronic reindeer than it is house.
Right, exactly. You just got that classic image of like National Lampoon where it's got the every shingle is bordered with lights and stuff, and it's just the power gauge going around the clock and stuff. Like, those get ridiculous, and you see people that have, like, the full-on light show with, like, music playing and stuff, and I'm just like, no, I cannot imagine living next door to that. I would get so pissed if I had to hear, like, Carol of the Bells on the hour every hour and have to, like, close my fucking blinds to it. That's too much. But at the same time, I feel like this is kind of cool. I just noticed it tonight. I've noticed a street kind of, or a house kind of around the corner down the street from me, where they've got like a lot of lights flashing. And flashing is where I think, like, when it's a constant on, you can quickly tune it out and you can only pay attention to it when you feel like it. When it's flashing, it demands your attention and it goes gaudy. So this house has had flashing lights, and I'm like, all right, let's go around the corner and check it out. And, like, I don't know how the fuck they did it. They got, like, lights in a tree that's, like, at least 20, 30 feet off the ground. They got lights up that high and just shit everywhere, and it's all blinking and flashing. I'm like, okay, this is a little much. And then I see a lighted sign on the tree which says, tune radio to this station. And I go, what? And I do it, and they've either tapped into their own FM station, or they've found one that plays Christmas music 24/7 and have somehow figured out how to arrange their lights so that it's always on beat with the radio station. And I don't know how that's even possible. It's
like, I feel even Batman would blush at that level of prep time.
I know, right? Like, I'm just trying to think of the logistics to it, because, like, you'd have to, that means all the lights have to be running to a single source, that they somehow have to be connected to a device that is, I guess, maybe interpreting the waveform and adjusting the on-off based on that from the audio feed of the radio station, and I'm just like, how? It's really impressive, but also just a little annoying.
Yeah, it's like, you've obviously gone for a lot of work, and I can appreciate the craft, but there is some kind of abstract line here, which, I mean, even at its basic core, you're dealing with bright lights and bright colors and shiny stuff. Like, it's always gonna be, like, it's that fun spirit, right? It's that just like, hey, everyone's in Christmas, everyone's kind of got these ridiculous things that don't make too much sense, but it brings a sense of warmth to an otherwise, like, cold and depressing kind of atmosphere. Like, it makes the cold and everything seem part of that aesthetic. And I think maybe one of the defining lines, specifically for me, that I noticed, is I think it's underrated how much snow adds to that.
Oh, yeah.
I think snow goes a long way to making what would otherwise be seen as gaudy to making it work, like, perfectly. For the example I want to use is in Lincoln, in my university degree, their annual Christmas market. Other places in Lincoln got very built up with very modern thing. The market of Lincoln is still that very old Edwardian Victorian architecture. So it's all like cathedrals and everything. It's gorgeous to look at. And it's just one long road that starts from the bottom all the way to a hill. Like, it's so steep on an incline. It's like, you're on the icy road, don't climb it because you will fall. Like, it is like almost on a 90-degree angle up. It's insane. But it's every year down, and the lights go up, and it genuinely does look magical. It genuinely does give you that feel, because when I grew up in the West Midlands, which is where I'm from, in Coventry, it's more like a poorer place in the UK. It's not a very aesthetic looking thing. So although I was like, I miss the Christmas house and everything, miss the effort my mum put in, seeing like the actual like full on effect of like, this is doing the Christmas thing and it looks great, really made me appreciate. Specifically, because after Christmas and the snow starts to melt, and you see the decorations haven't been put down yet, it just doesn't have that effect anymore.
No, I think you're right. Like, the snow adds a lot. Like, obviously you don't want to put up decorations when it's already started to snow because it's cold. Um, and most people, yeah, they do wait to take them down until they get at least one good melt, because, again, it's cold. But, like, there's something to just the aesthetic of, like, the lights shining through the snow. Like, that's always my favorite. When you have, like, a nice, thick, heavy snow that has covered up the Christmas lights, and yet when they turn on, it like, illuminates the snow. That is always such a cool frickin' look. And it just, like, it really does add so much, and it just makes everything look so much cooler and cozier and warm. It's... This is a weird thing to bring up, but it reminds me of it, so I'm just going to mention it. This is kind of free association, but, so in one of the issues of Sandman, he's hanging out with his little sister, Delirium, and they decide that they're going to travel like mortals, and so they're flying in an airplane, even though they could, like, fly through the minds of people or whatever. They're flying in an airplane, and his sister looks out the window, and it's like, oh, clouds are so nice, and he's like, they're just precipitation, water waiting to fall. And she goes, yeah, I know, but when you're in here looking out at them, they look so soft and fluffy, like you could just lay in them and feel perfectly content. They're not cold and wet. And I think, like, that's kind of what the aesthetic of snow and Christmas decorations, when their powers unite, kind of create. When you just are able to look at them in that context, it makes snow seem less hostile, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. Do you think maybe that leans into, because I there is like sometimes with, like, the traditions of, like, why we do these things, that word used, hostile, I think that may be a good, like, segue, because a lot of these were specifically just the general traditions of where, like, the lights come from, where it used to be candles you put on the tree and stuff like that. A lot of these were traditions used to ward off spirits and protect the household with, like very much similar to how Halloween kind of gets it, but to a lesser extent, just because the winter season was always seen as more like a cuddled together kind of homely place. Do you think, obviously that has not been lost as we've gone to modern culture, but do you think, like, maybe the idea of us having an innate human sense of bright light and shiny things means, like, comfort, do you think that has any bearing to why we do this?
I think that's definitely an interesting line of thought. You get tempted to play, like, armchair scholar or something when you go that far, but I could definitely see an argument for that, at least, right? Like, yeah, we're used to, you in winter you still had to do hunting and gathering, but you couldn't do as much of it. So you're by necessity having to hunker down more, and so, like, there's this more intimate connection time of year kind of thing going on. I could definitely see it. It's one of those things where I think it's really hard to get, like, a particular one thing, because so much of what is the holiday tradition now is such a mishmash of things, right? Like, some people that are really religious really love the holiday because they feel such a deep connection to the nativity and all that stuff. And that's where you get, like, the war on Christmas kind of comes from. It's like, people feel that, oh, you're taking away the religious, you're removing the Christ from Christmas. And I'm like, boy, do I have news for you. It's really, we're taking the holiday back, but sure. No, I think that's, like, there's just such a big mishmash of different, like, social pieces that have been put together, because Christmas is traditionally celebrated in more Western countries like Europe and America and stuff, and so you look at traditions like putting a tree in your house, and that isn't even like a British tradition. It was weird until like the mid 1800s when a German prince married into the royal family somehow or other. Some German noble, I'll say. I'll give myself a little bit more wiggle room there. A German noble married into the royal family, and he brought that tradition over, and so then it kind of populated throughout the UK and spread over here. Because goddamn it, we'll fight a revolution, but we'll still basically just be Britain.
I mean, it's also funny because that's directly how it went to America.
I believe so.
From because there's a funny story from that. Is it's just there was a photograph called "The Queen's Christmas Tree at Windsor Castle" that was like published in the news, and it was about Queen Victoria and her husband Albert, and it was just like a very good drawing of just them celebrating Christmas with the Christmas tree. That got published in Philadelphia, and the change they made to make it look more American is they removed the Queen's crown and Albert's mustache. And then that's what populated the USA doing Christmas trees.
I guess.
They censored it with they did a reverse Justice League. They've always been removing these mustaches, but yeah, that's how Christmas came across. It's been a very interesting that it is such a rarely do you see traditions be accepted I guess so wholeheartedly. Normally they are replaced. Normally they are incorporated into their own beliefs. But I guess because it had the advantage of being from a royal family and they just brought it over, and that's what was seen as that was seen as popular, it kind of brought that in a more... There was no taking of the Christmas trees of the natives kind of thing, right? So that I feel like is an interesting distinction to make compared to some of the traditions that have become ingrained in our cultures. But I find everything we surround the Christmas tree specifically interesting, and how that's evolved. I mentioned earlier about the candles, and obviously the modern day equivalent of that is the lights. But you'd also get the upper class rich people would put clocks inside the tree itself, and it would make make noise and stuff like that. One of my favorite weirdest ones is, do you know the legend of where tinsel comes from?
No.
It's a Christmas spider, Ian.
It's a Christmas spider.
You've never heard of the Christmas spider?
No.
Well, the Christmas spider is from Germany, Poland, and the Ukraine. And it's basically one day a family was too poor to afford any tinsel, because back then tinsel was made from thin strips of silver. It wasn't plastic yet. But because they couldn't afford real tinsel, the family was sad. Boo hoo 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 hoo. But in the morning, a spider had been on the tree, and the cobwebs of the spider had covered the tree. And in the light, it looked silver and gold from the reflection of the sun. And that's this is how tinsel put on Christmas trees. Obviously, it's all bullshit. But that's kind of a sweet story that you don't really get, but it kind of justifies why we do the thing.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting.
But it also has a gaping logic hole, though, because then it doesn't explain why they wanted tinsel in the first place if that's what started the legend.
Yeah. I don't know what you do with that. I was, you said the tinsel spider, and I was really hoping it was gonna be one of those really fucked up Eastern European myths where it's there was a giant silver spider and we ripped off its arms and hung it in the tree. Something like that.
That would be badass.
I mean, that feels more like
Who
it.
would have heard of that?
Yeah, that feels more like it. It's like with the Cinderella where she's fucking cutting off body parts and stuff. It's ridiculous. I mean, if you had told me that, I would have 100% believed you without question. So, who's the dirty dumb liar now?
That's sharp.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of those traditions I do think are like such a weird mishmash, and then of course you've got like family traditions on top of that. Like, I don't do it, but Haley's side of the family does it on occasion for like Christmas parties exclusively. You ever heard of the pickle game?
Do I want to hear of the pickle game?
All right. Well, first you take off your pants. No, I'm kidding. They put a pickle in the tree, and it's a game to find it. And it's like it's a weird thing, and like it apparently started with like an actual pickle, but for obvious reasons, as you go more artificial, you don't want to do that because then your tree is gonna smell like pickles every year. And so it eventually became an ornament of a pickle being put in the tree and stuff like that. And so, Evan, my brother-in-law, does a Christmas party usually like every year. And they've got this little tiny pickle ornament that's hidden away in the tree every year. And they play a game of who can find it. I don't know, it's a weird little tradition that German background for whatever reason.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine. I don't personally have anything like that with the tree, but I guess that ties into, because for some reason there is a fascination just randomly putting things you wouldn't expect in the tree. Like, for instance, I mentioned the clock, you mentioned the pickle. You've got a freaking train in there. I don't know how that correlates. Like, there's such like weird. It looks cool, but like if you really break it down, it's like, what?
Yeah, no, this is where I always get to. Like, alien archaeologists are gonna be so fucking confused. And that's what Geeky Gentleman is here for, to enlighten them, assuming they get into, episode 800 or whatever the fuck we're on by now. No, but like that's a really good example of like, what the fuck are ornaments? Because I don't know. I'd like to think that, okay, you start with the candles, and then from there, what gets put in them? What was the originator for ornaments? Was it like crosses and things to, signify your faith? Was it like reliquaries to correlate to saints? Did it evolve that way into what we kind of think of as ornaments now? Or was it like, the baubles, like the little reflective balls? Was that the start of it? And then it got more commercialized and more customized and more like fun and cool to have, a Bugs Bunny ornament or whatever. I just don't know like how exactly that happened. And it's really interesting because now you've got, you go to a store and you can find so many ornaments, and I've actually got kind of a picky take on what I like about commercialized ornaments now. Like, me, I'm a nerd. I like my properties and stuff. And we've got a couple ornaments that I think they work just fine. They're okay. I just don't love them the most. Like, I've got a Doctor Who ornament, and it's a TARDIS. And it's cool, it's fine. But I don't love it because it's just a TARDIS. It doesn't have that, like, extra little piece that would make it feel more Christmassy, besides the fact that it's in a Christmas tree. And Haley's got a Wonder Woman ornament that's the same way. It's just, it's an ornament of Wonder Woman, and she's got her shield and her sword and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine, but it doesn't, that could just almost be a Wonder Woman, like, statue or something if you just took the ornament part off of it. I was looking for, Dragon Ball ornaments, like a Vegeta or a Goku or something, and it's, they could basically just be figures, and I'm like, it's not as cool. You want, like, that little extra touch, in my opinion, that sends it over the edge to be Christmas. It doesn't have to be, like, here's the character in a Santa suit or something. It doesn't have to go that far. I think the Santa hat is a pretty good, one. Or if they're, like, holding a present or something, like, it's that little touch to me that really makes it work. for like a really cool Christmas ornament.
And it's a kind of a shame you don't see more of that baked into the design, specifically because a lot of these are made in mind with being Christmas ornaments and only have something that lets you attach it to the tree. So it's not like it's necessarily you're taking something and then forcing it to be an ornament. And with stuff like that, it's so easy to think of ways to make them more Christmassy, right? Like with superheroes specifically, like nearly everyone's got a Christmas variant of their outfit. The Doctor Who makes a living out of Christmas specials, so the TARDIS has been covered in snow and all these other things with Christmas kind of themes around it. There's no shortage of. You'd be hard pressed to find a media property that doesn't have something to do with Christmas in some shape or form. So I feel like that is a very big missed opportunity to kind of unifying the aesthetic. Which I don't know. I think that's an interesting take when we start adding things to personalize it. Like we've mentioned family traditions, but you go to a deeper level where you start making it your tree, be it with like the Green Lantern and the Wonder Woman stuff, right? It's like now it's not just become a representation of like the holiday season, but it's also been another way to express your fandom and like, oh, this is a cool idea kind of thing. And I don't know, what do you think about that? What do you think of basically taking the Christmas tree and making it a canvas for expression? Because I know some people who go really far out. Like there's been people who have made entire Imperial Darth Vader themed Christmas trees, and they look really cool. They get like a black tree, and they just cover it with TIE fighters, and at the top is the Death Star.
That sounds so fucking rad. But like again, I think like it's really cool, but it again, to me, it crosses like that very particular line where I think that'd be really cool for 1 year, but I can't imagine breaking that out every year, if that makes sense. Maybe
I feel you there.
Maybe if Disney keeps this Christmas season Star Wars movie thing going, I could see that further down the line. Let's just be honest. As soon as I see a Baby Yoda ornament, I'm getting it. That's just happening. But like, yeah, I just the thing that I like for the tree is an expression. I think that's what's kind of getting me into it more, into this mood more, is getting to really put my stamp on it and not have my mom going in the background because she didn't like when I did certain things. She didn't love my she's always very supportive as long as she doesn't have to deal with it. Is the thing. That's my mother to a T. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that's really hard to peg down, because I think it'd be really cool to have more like I would love to have each member of the Justice League in like a Santa hat or like with a present or something as an ornament. I think that could be really, really cool. But I wouldn't want every member of every character in the DC universe, Like, at a certain point, it goes beyond a line, and then it's more of like it feels like I'm advertising almost, or something.
Yeah,
like it'd be really
you're not promoting Christmas.
Yeah, like it'd be really cool if I were like visiting DC's offices and they had a tree that was that. Like, it's again, that's a really, really difficult line, isn't it? Where it's like, it's cool in some circumstances, but I don't think it works in a house. Just if we're talking like why I wouldn't go in that direction, and that's how I kind of feel about like the idea of a Darth Vader tree.
I feel it's
that, and also maybe celebrating Space Hitler isn't the best idea for Christmas. I don't know. I don't know if I really want to touch that.
I don't know what you're talking
one.
about. The Emperor was a big advocate of Life Day. You shut your whore mouth. You're taking the Emperor out of Emprimus. Don't even get me started on Freezer Day.
Damn it, you beat me to it.
Too slow. But yeah, I mean, I think the one exception I guess you can maybe make, because I think that is a good distinction to make as well, right? It's like who you get in to represent the Christmas tree. who you putting on it. As badass as the aesthetic of the Empire is, they are Nazis. So maybe don't throw that on there. But like the Justice League fits super well, especially if you can get that kind of thing. Even like Doctor Who fits really well. I think the biggest example for me is I think like Superman is like 100%. You can fully deck out
Really,
with like
Alfie thinks Superman is a good fit for something. What?
Yeah, I do. At me, bitch. But yeah, it's like it's one of those things where there's so many specials about like Superman gets all the letters from people and he goes around the world and delivers on that Christmas Eve. Like it's that kind of wholesome shit where it just really fits for that kind of character. And again, it can spread out to other different verses and whatever interest you're in. I think maybe that would justify if you did want to make it like a regular thing, keeping characters who you can imagine advocating that. Like, as funny as it is, and as messed up as it is, I could even buy a Joker tree. Because as Joker is renowned for his Christmas specials.
No, definitely. Like, I could see that. Like, one thing I've done is he is everywhere that I've got a decoration except for outside. I've got Larflee's Christmas decorations. He's on my stocking holder. I've got a hero click that I bought and turned into an ornament for my little tree, and I've got the Larflee's make your own ornament from the Larflee's Christmas special on the big tree. So I've got a Larfleeze everywhere. I also added I made a Lego cart to add to my train that is in the tree, and I put Hal Jordan, Wonder Woman, and Larfleeze on it. And I made little Lego presents to put inside the thing so that it looked like Larfleeze was trying to steal people's presents. I think Larfleeze is DC's best Christmas character. At me, bitch.
When we get into Superman versus the Larfleeze who stole Christmas.
I mean, really.
That's the wife we need to do.
I mean, if you weren't a coward. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I think he's a really good fit because, the best Christmas specials are the ones where people need to learn a thing, and Larfleeze. Like, I still say they should have just done Larflee's Christmas special, Larflee's holiday specials all the time. It would have been great, but whatever. Again, DC doesn't know what they're doing. But yeah, I don't know. I want more Larflee's Christmas stuff. I want more Larflee's stuff in general. He's fallen off in a big way.
All right, yeah, let's close this thread off. You fucking obscure Green Lantern character. Ugh, this guy, all right? Like, come on. Yeah, I'm fully on board with you there. I feel like that's like keeping on the topic of like decorations. I feel that is such a when you want to do that thing where you're like, okay, we're gonna merchandise like everything out just a little bit. We're gonna really sell out to one corporation because fuck it, it makes you happy in this dark, professing world. Especially with characters where it's like ideas, where you're getting a vibe across, right? Mm-hmm. You can do cool things with Larfleeze. You can have him like trying to grab the presents and stuff like that. Like you can get funny setups with that. I think that's important because it not only just gives you going to the idea of like the canvas, it doesn't just give you one vibe. Depending on what you do with what you set up, you can get like little I've seen people who do like almost pieces with how they set up Christmas trees. This goes all the way back to when it was fashionable. People would have like little miniatures of like the nativity at the bottom of the Christmas tree.
Oh yeah, Haley, that's Haley's tradition. It's weird. My mom always put the nativity set on the mantle above the fireplace. Haley's family always put it at the bottom of the tree, and I'm like, it's one of those things where you gotta be polite and stuff. I'm like, I really think it's dumb because then there's less room for presents, and also you gotta worry about kicking.
You don't need presents if you got Jesus.
Yeah, you gotta worry about like kicking baby Jesus and the moral implications of that. Just saying, just throwing that one out there.
He just wants his Green Lantern merch. He's not here to debate theology.
I know.
I mean, it's one of those, right? Well, I think that is just, you get a very interesting look at the different the same thing tweaked slightly across different cultures and different people who have got the same basic idea, but they've interpreted it a little differently, or they've seen potential logic flaws and edited it, or stuff like that. Like that is really interesting, and that I hope sticks. I don't think will ever go away because as much as we have become more secular as just a general worldwide population, I do think the idea of like the traditions of stuff like that isn't people don't always associate it with their own religion when they celebrate it. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think I could see that. I feel like Christmas has always been kind of those things like that people feel the need to remind people that it's like got this religious, connotation to it. Like people get, I still find it funny that people get so angry over the phrase "Happy Holidays." Like a couple years ago when I made my Green Lantern stocking, I made that video and I ended it with just "Happy Holidays," and I sent it to my mom and she sent me back, "It's Merry Christmas," and I got into that fucking debate, and I'm like, she's like, "You celebrate Christmas?" I'm like, "Yeah, but not everyone that's subscribed to me does," and she's like, well, they should, and I'm like, oh god, here we go. Okay, boomer. I wish that was the meme at the time. Oh,
You would have killed it early. But it's like that's
I know.
one of those things where it's still one of the you're able to take the idea of it, right, and like the celebration and the coming together, so like the tenets of it, the ethical message, at least in the most idealized version, and most people can appreciate like gift giving and selflessness is good. Like it's genuinely, unless you're just a alt-right psycho, like that's gonna be what you subscribe to, even if you have different interpretations of it. So most people can get behind that. And I think being able to do that on a larger scale isn't going to go away because everyone has their own different ideas of it. So with decorations, I think as much as the generations we go on, we'll see less and less of the religious aspect, just because as it's always kind of been the case, right? It's like the humanity as a whole gets less and less dependent on religion as we just age. That's not like to say anything like disparage or anything. It just seems to be the trend. Once we get to that point, I don't think the traditions are going to go with it. I think a lot of kids are still going to be growing up on things. They might not. I was just about to say they might not get it, but like I don't fucking get a lot of the things. Like, and I don't think my parents get a lot of the things that people do on Christmas still, right? Like the whole thing with like the tinsel thing or just Christmas trees in general. No one has to know the history of that. No one has to know the meaning of it. It's just become such a cultural understanding that it's almost instinctual to, especially when you get it at a young age, you just associate with happiness and just associate with good. So those are one of those things that I feel like Christmas has going for it in terms of the decorations. I'm wondering, because we're kind of being Christmas stands at the moment, do you feel like, we kind of mentioned like it can be gaudy, are there any other potential negatives you can think of with Christmas decorations, like off the top of your head?
Besides just the gaudy thing, I think the biggest problem that Christmas has as a holiday is, I kind of mentioned it, you get kind of jaded on it at a certain point. And I think it depends on, like, what you're doing in relation to the holiday. Because I mentioned that, like, yeah, you get kind of jaded on it when you're a teenager because it just becomes less cool to like that stuff. But I think most people grow out of that. I think the thing that's going to keep keeps most people jaded on Christmas is less the decorations, but you get kind of annoyed vicariously at everything Christmas when you work retail. It is a really hard time to be on a job because, like, when you're working retail, you're at your busiest, and you're also dealing with all the things that, like, are just the worst to deal with a job. People are rude because it's Christmas and it's the day before and they want to buy this thing now and then you don't have it and it's your fault for some reason. Or just like fucking, it's snowing and it's cold, but you got to be to work every day. You can't call off because of weather, that will get you fired. And then when you're at work, they're playing Christmas music all the fucking time. It's exhausting. It is mentally draining because what's terrible about Christmas music, if you work retail, is you already are used to hearing a pop station that plays the same songs day in and day out. Christmas music, you're playing the same 5 to 10 songs and 15 different covers day in and day out. So I think, like, the decorations themselves are less the problem than just getting exhausted with everything around it and going really, really ham on decorations can just kind of add to that sense of being jaded, and it makes things feel less genuine, less magical and more superficial.
And I think that's a delicate balance to get with Christmas, because it is such a constant. It is such a, there is always going to be someone celebrating Christmas pretty hard, and this goes for most holidays, but I think Christmas is the one that's most universally, like, there's always a whole month of it. Like, Halloween normally just gets like a couple of days, but Christmas, like, as soon as November hits that thing, it's on. It's Christmas 24/7. It's like a switch goes, and everything is Christmas styled. And even in January, there's still like the tenets of Christmas going on. So it's got the longest kind of glory period of any holiday. So it's easy to kind of get like, oh god, this again kind of feel. And I think especially because there is a fine line. You mentioned the retail example. I can also figure whenever people, because it's such a family holiday or it's such a connected holiday, whenever there's a tragedy around the time, or whenever there's something recent upsetting in life, and then you're being told to be joyful, it can really pull people the wrong way. And I think that is something to consider about, I don't know, there are so many stories, and obviously movies make entire plots about like, oh, this happened, but we're going to find a way to redeem them. But there's like, sometimes you're allowed to be that way. Sometimes you shouldn't. It hurts that dealing with that process, and just makes people want to strike out more once they're surrounded by constant happiness.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It can just get, very daunting, very exhausting to be around. And I don't know, like, I'm just reminded of the scene in Bad Santa where he just beats the shit out of some decorations in the Santa's Village thing, because he's drunk as hell and mad as shit. And I kind of think of that. I'm like, yeah, I think I've been there. I think I've seen a thing, and I'm just like, fuck this. Yeah, I get it. But again, I think a lot of that comes from when you're outside of it, when you're not the one that's choosing to put it up, when you don't get to have the fun of being a part of it, is where I feel the annoyance comes in,
Yeah, and do you think Christmas is unique in that aspect? Because I can't think of any other holiday where that's the case. I can't really see, because it lasts so long, I think is the difference, and it's so overreaching.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Is people can not like Halloween, but no one's ever like, ah, fuck Halloween.
Yeah, no, because like, what, you just turn your fucking lights off, and what's the worst case scenario? Some kids like, fucking TP your house or whatever, you call the cops. It's fine. Whereas, and it's one night. Like, maybe there's decorations up for like a month beforehand at most, but end of the day, the holiday is one night and then it's over. The annoyances are done. Christmas is like everywhere you go, everything is affected by it for like 2 months straight. It gets very overwhelming very quickly.
And I think a lot of that is tied into, obviously with decorations, the kind of the elephant in the room is like the entire business, and that's been formed around Christmas decorations, and I think that's a totally fair thing, right? It's just like there's no capitalism, like, oh yeah, the communist geek for fun. But like, just stripping that away, I have no problem with like that. I think that makes perfect sense as an industry, as a business to do. But I do feel like it kind of has affected, because Christmas is so product based now. It's so buy, not just gifts for people, but the like decorations for your house, and everything has to be set up in a certain way to get that effect. Like, it's a very spendy month. So the fact that we have a whole other thing now with Black Friday where it's literally dedicated so you can get these things cheaper for Christmas.
And it's not even really, you know, like it's just.
Right. It's just like, oh, we say it. So all of that, I think, has added to why it's been beefed up. I know you might have to correct me if you know more about this than I do, but I know there's like the many days of Christmas kind of thing. Like, there's advent calendars and there's songs about like how many days in the Christmas thing. So I imagine that's always. I don't think that has a merchandising route. I think that might have like a connection, unless you can correct me.
I really don't know. I just do not know enough about the background there to really say.
Well, in that case, I'm just going to assume I'm right as always. So in that case, it's just one of those things where I can understand that it is always been a longer holiday. Even back to like our Odin discussion, it's been a Yule season. It's a time of month where you celebrate being able to survive the winter, and that's been adapted in various different cultures to what we have as the modern holiday. But I think that feeling has been supercharged by companies realizing this is like you do something in Christmas and you're guaranteed to get some profit, to the fact where like entire industries and video game franchises have been ruined by trying to reach a Christmas deadline.
I wonder what video game has been ruined multiple times by trying to meet a Christmas deadline.
Let us know in the comments below, folks.
That's what I need. I need a Sonic ornament. There we go.
There you go. That would just bring disaster. Sonic and Christmas do not mix, as has been shown. That tree will set on fire, or it will glitch out for some apparent reason.
There's a cool idea for like a comic or something. Sonic actually kind of hates Christmas because he's just got such a checkered history with it.
He's like, everything kind of goes to shit on Christmas Tales. Whoa, Sonic! You just cuss? Like, man, I just don't like it. Like, Shadow's like, but Sonic, 'tis the season. Like that, the great Sonic's the Grinch in the story. There you go. That's a fun thing. But like with the decorations, I think maybe tying it to what your earlier point about being in the workforce during the holiday season. But like, I can't imagine like that. The decoration industry is fucking dead for like 10 months a year.
Right?
So there has to be some kind of hustle for that. There really does. The amount of like stress to make sure you get your product out on time because there's such a strong market. Everyone's doing their own thing, which is probably why I'm disappointed that the DC thing and like just other franchises don't more specialize in making things Christmas themed, because I think that would help make them stand out and maybe get more people to buy them, because they do feel more kind of niche at the moment. If they directly try to challenge that market, or maybe they know more than I do and it's just more too intimidating, because I can imagine that is a very short time window to get product out in mass quantities. And if you don't nail it for those 2 months, you got to wait an entire year until you can try again. You've got to carry yourself off those profits. So that's scary. I can't imagine actually being in that as a business, despite how obviously big and successful it is, because there's a lot of competing brands with it, obviously.
Yeah, like while you were talking there, I just Google imaged Wonder Woman ornaments, and all of them are just like basically Wonder Woman figures that just have like a little hook on the top of her head or something, None of them look like this identifies as Christmas to me, except for like the baubles that have the symbol on it or something, which I guess that's cool in its own right, but Nah. I was thinking about this. I kind of want to get like um, translucent colored baubles and put like the different core symbols on them. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah,
dope.
especially if I
That'd
could
be really
like
good.
craft a way for them to like have the Christmas lights fit inside of them. Ah, that's cool. That's a cool idea. I like me.
My thing for what I call Wonder Woman Christmas decoration would be is lasso of truth instead of tinsel.
Oh, that's a neat idea.
And you can make people sell those like fully gold. You could wrap that around the entire tree.
Yeah, that could be cool. Like that would be a really good one for like a Wonder Woman themed tree, I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you really make it stand out and not just look like you're into, I don't know, royal bondage or something.
I mean, that's a half holiday.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I'm just thinking about that. I'm like, I can't believe it because I have Looney Tunes. I guess I'm spoiled on it because I just assumed that everyone did it this way. Because I've got Looney Tunes ornaments with the characters, and they're all very much Christmas. Like they all scream Christmas. I've got one where like Sylvester is like climbing out of a chimney. I've got Bugs Bunny in like PJs with a Santa hat on, laying on top of a television that says Looney Tunes. Like it all screams Christmas for these Looney Tunes ornaments that I have. That it amazes me that like you don't have it for these other branded things. It seems like that would be the thing that would help them sell well.
I think Looney Tunes in general is always at the top of the game with that, which is just a shame, especially because Warner Brothers has the same fucking property with the DC characters.
What I think it might be is just like they might have like, oh, we were gonna make this a figure, or we were gonna make this a statue, but it didn't really sell well enough. Well, let's just shrink it down a little bit and put a hook in it, and then we can sell it as a Christmas ornament. Like that's kind of the feel I get from a lot of it. Because, I don't know, what if I go, like, for more of a mainstream character? More like, easily marketable, like Superman or Batman? Do I start to get more Christmas-ish with it? And, like, right off the bat, it looks like no. That's so crazy to me. There's no, like, Superman with a Santa hat on. That's ridiculous.
There's no Superman with his full Santa costume theme.
Right?
That is the crime of the century. Like,
Poor Alfie. There's a bauble that's got a little cape and the symbol on it, but it's also got like two arms ripping open a shirt. That's a pretty cool one.
I mean, that's pretty good, then.
Yeah, you gotta like it. How about Batman? What happens when I do that? Sorry, this is just listening to guys Google. Okay, here's one where Batman's wearing a Santa hat, holding a gift, and he's standing on top of the bat signal. Thank you.
Why? Of the three? Come on. That is some grade A bullshit.
I know, right? Ugh.
I mean, and he's also got Batman Noel as well. Fucking, yeah, you know what? Batman does work at Christmas, but like, he's kind of like always the grumpy ones.
I know. It's horrendous, isn't it? Okay, what else can we talk about with decorations before we wrap up here? What do we want to do for closing thoughts, I guess, on decorations?
Are there any things, because we do kind of always like to look to the future with the Geeky Gentleman, are there any things with improving technology and just crazy things you've seen that you would like to see kind of applied to Christmas decorations? I know, Pete, you mentioned earlier about people like timing things to the rhythm of the radio they're like tied into. And I think maybe an evolution of that would be like as AI improves, you could get some like crazy artistic like configurations of certain lights lighting up at certain times with certain effects. So like, I'm sure this has been done, but like I meant like in a widespread, cheaply made manner. As like technology improves, it normally does get cheaper. Of just like crazy shapes and crazy bits of artwork that come on and like flash and flash and flash, or even with like how we get more flexible plastics and flexible technology. I can really see like some crazy new, I can't even imagine what it'd be like, types of tinsel where you can get them into like moldable shapes.
Yeah, I guess I'll take this back to a conversation I was having over at my mom's the other day. Because she got me, when I was a kid, one of my favorite ornaments was a Winnie the Pooh. And he's sitting on a tree stump, and there's a pot of honey behind him, and you press a little button, and Pooh's voice comes out, and he says, "Where, oh, where is my pot of Christmas honey?" And he's sitting there thinking about it, and says, "Oh, hello, have you by chance seen my pot of Christmas honey? Oh, bother." It's really frickin' cute. And she goes, "And I can't believe I can't find more ornaments that, like, talk or have movement or interactive things anymore." And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, they don't really do that anymore." And I was sitting there looking at her tree, and she had so many that are really cool, and I realized it's because they've become, like, outdated. Like, the Pooh, she got me a new one, and he works now, but hers, like, started to fail a couple years ago, and this is the first year in like, I want to say 3-4 years that it's actually worked clear as a bell. Like, a couple years ago, it was like, "Hike, hike, hike. Have you seen my pot of Christmas honey?" It's like it stops being cute and starts being scary. But like
it just starts droning the last few
pretty
words.
much, yeah. But like, so it started to fail, and like I posted the video of the Santa's elf puppet that I have that I got from her, and she couldn't have him plugged in because the LED lights started to go more LED, and so the thing used to just plug directly into the light strand, and that's where it got its power source from. But that, the style of slot has changed, and so now you can't just plug it in that way anymore. It doesn't work, but it does on my tree. She had another one that was like a workshop elf, where you plug him into the light strand just like the other one, and he's actually working on a Christmas light. So like it's like he's molding it, and it turns it on. It's just cool stuff like that. And I realized, yeah, she's right. You don't see that stuff anymore. It seems like we got really into it when we first could start to do it in the mid 90s to early 2000s, and it seems like it's really dropped off. And I think it's because technology has, taken such leaps and bounds that it's really hard to be able to make those kinds of things universal. And so you don't want people having to, bring back and return stuff because it doesn't work with their tree or whatever. I think that might be why. Because, like, when I got my train set up and everything, I was like, oh, it has to take AA batteries. I was really hoping you could just plug it into the light strand or something to make it work. But it's fine. It works out. It's just, I was hoping I wouldn't have to waste AA batteries. So I think what I would like is for more stuff like that, because it just seems as you said, as technology improves, that like that stuff should become more common and more cool, and everyone should have really cool ornaments that don't just hang there, but that actually have some kind of interactive element. Because I think those kinds of things are just super neat.
I think I 100% agree with you there. It's one of those. I definitely think I don't think it's reached its like dead end of like a evolutionary of technology. I think there's still a lot more you can do with the concept, and I just think maybe it would all require is like one, because you see this a lot, right? You just see there's one thing that sets off a train, and then a lot of thing kind of follows in its mold. I think that's all you'd need. You just need one really popular thing that's in that mold, and then it would usher in a renaissance.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's one of those things. I wasn't sure if we'd be able to get a whole hour discussion out of Christmas decorations, but man, we managed. So it's one of those things. It's kind of interesting to just think about and consider these kinds of questions and stuff. I don't know. I think I'm pretty good there. Alfie, we need a movie to talk about for next time.
Now,
Or it can be. It doesn't have to be a movie. We could review like a Christmas story. You want to?
I'm wondering if I can cheat a little bit.
Oh God.
How would you feel about reviewing all of the TFS Christmas specials?
I'm down. That sounds like fun.
Let's do it. Like every single one.
How many have there been? Like 4?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and we'll throw. Oh, I know what I can use for the intro music. It'll be great. Okay, yeah. Hey Vegeta. Okay, yeah, cool. I'm down for that. All right, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm a geek for fun.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas!